Hello, pro wrestling fans, family, and friends. Welcome to a brand new episode of the History of Professional Wrestling. I am your host, Joe Monroe, and today we're going to be doing the history of pro wrestling over one of professional wrestling's greatest managers, minds. He's got a lot of accolades under his belts. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about none other than Paul Heyman. And I'm not alone tonight. I do have a little bit of a co-host. It's supposed to be more than one, but representing Till 5 Wrestling. Everybody loves him, I guess. The Notorious ATB.
I don't know that everybody loves me, but everybody likes to watch me at least, or at least get mad at me. So here I am.
well, I guess Eric Bischoff was right when he said controversy creates cash. So,
It's
whatever,
hard
I
to be
guess.
humble.
Anyways, before we get started, I got to shout out some sponsors real quick. First and foremost, we
You know
want to
what?
thank.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on. I'm going to shout out a sponsor first. Shout
Fine.
out to my good friends at Green Hemp Company who are officially sponsoring Till 5 Wrestling. Thank you to all of the people there, and especially my good friend, Donna, or as Master Sergeant Mustache calls her, Hot Donna.
Okay, so apparently you're over smoking the green stuff over there, or eating,
Hey,
or
I don't
whatever.
smoke. I quit smoking a long time ago.
Edibles count too, Aaron.
That's not smoking.
Anyways, so Tail 5 Wrestling has their sponsorships. Now, time for the Joe Monroe Show. First and foremost, Phenomenal Finds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, check out phenomenalfindsatl.com. They may have it. A big shout out to Charms Photos, Crystal, who is the lovely lady that takes pictures of pro wrestling action and also promo pictures. Go check her out. And actually, I want to give out a shout out, big happy birthday to Crystal. Today is her birthday today. So happy birthday, Crystal. It's big. Had your birthday on a good day today. Sorry if I embarrassed you. And Les Murphy Painting. If you're having any trouble with any painting needs, contact Les Murphy at 734-334-3702. Big shout out to Red Ape Graphics by Crander Q. He made all these graphics that you're seeing in front of you right now. So big shout out to him. If you're a podcast or a showrunner and you're needing graphics, go check it out. And, he'll work out a deal with you. All right. Well, let's see. Looks like Crystal is here. Hey, Crystal, happy birthday. Tell her happy birthday, Aaron.
Happy birthday, Crystal, but not my Crystal. My Crystal's downstairs. I have a kiddo who will be turning 21 next week
Oh,
and is moving back into the dorms at EKU this weekend. So Crystal's having a hard time.
oh, I'd say so. And gosh, I feel old. Anywho,
It's because you are old.
shut up, Aaron. Anyways, we're not here to bicker at each other today. We decided to be at peace with each other. Today is going to be a good day. Today's going to be a good day. We're here to talk about one of the best minds in professional wrestling. No, I'm not talking about you.
Notorious ATB.
I am. No. We are talking about none other than Paul Heyman. Now, a lot of people have asked, why did I put Paul Heyman in the voting pool? Well, I mean, come on. Without Paul Heyman, I had the question of the day earlier. Without Paul Heyman, there would be no ECW.
That's fair. But I don't think that Heyman needed ECW. You could
That's
have covered Heyman at any point. Shane Douglas needed ECW. But no, we're just going to put Shane to the side.
okay. You're just mad because we're not doing Shane Douglas today. Anyways, so let's go ahead and let's get into the history of Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman, let's go to the early years. Very young Paul Heyman right here. Started off, believe it or not, in a poster business. He owned his own business there for a minute. Then he weaseled his way back, well, not really back, but into professional wrestling by literally hustling his way of getting a press pass from the WWF at the time. by saying
Because
to the
he
secretary,
met Vince in a steakhouse.
Benson's Steakhouse in New York, because he found out that's where they were all hanging out, and he found a good way to get in, and he was just 15 years old. 15 freaking years old, and he got in.
I thought it was 14.
No, he was 15.
No.
I rewatched the biography today. By the way, if you guys haven't
Okay.
seen that, go check it out. It's a great biography. But yeah, he was 15, and he's at ringside watching these classic matches. And not only that, he's also going underneath the wing of people like the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, which, why are nobody talking about him? He's an underrated professional wrestling manager.
The last time the Grand Wizard was relevant was when Kevin Nash was mocking him on WCW Nitro. That's sad that was the last time he was even remotely relevant.
Yeah, but still, one of the probably greatest managers of all time. I think he's way overlooked. Not only him, but he had Captain Lou Albano. He also had Classy Freddie Blassie. This guy was not only in the school for the WWF, but later on, he went down to the Mid-Atlantic Crockett area where Dusty was booking and snuck his way into a production meeting. Even Dusty caught him. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I can't really do a good Dusty. I'm sorry, but he's like,
"What are you doing here? What are you doing backstage here?"
"Well, I'm here to learn from you, Dusty. One of the best minds. I already know what they're doing. I just want to know what you're doing."
Well, you came to the right place, baby. Just sit in here and be quiet.
Yeah, and I love how Dusty was like, every time they would have one, he would just get closer and closer and closer until he was almost in his freaking lap. Which, I mean, do you blame him?
Well, no. Dusty had a nice lap.
Jeez. But I mean, you got to think here. He was also present during the transition from Vince Senior to Vince Junior. He said he was present through that too. So he came into professional wrestling at a very, very great moment.
Hey, let's not forget the Jerry Lawler head shaving.
Oh, good Lord.
Like, he was still an irrelevant little twerp back then, and he got to shave Jerry Lawler's head in Memphis.
Yeah, and was able to cost Bill Apter, I think that's how you say his last name, famous photographer. He says he despised Paul Heyman every time he's seen him because he would steal a lot of photo opportunities.
Does it really surprise you that Paul Heyman was that guy?
No, I mean, not really. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, well, you got to think, we've all been that young before. Him being that young, being that ambitious. I mean, he already ran a successful poster company, for crying out loud. He just stopped it because he wanted to focus more on the wrestling business. And come hell or high water, he was going to make it work. And, well, as we all know, he made it work.
Yeah, he hustled. Heyman hustled.
All right. Then, he got a little bit older. Then he started working at Studio 54, a famous nightclub. This was before he was 21. He became the lead photographer there and was able to eventually work his way up as a promoter there, booking wrestling, even booking the debut of Bam Bam Bigelow. How many people can say that?
One.
Exactly. Paul Heyman. That's it. But
I feel like that is what led to Heyman really getting there, is that he happened to be, not only was he lucky, but he was also good.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a lot of people in wrestling that were just lucky. Vince McMahon was lucky.
I agree with you. Vince was lucky. And honestly, with everything that's happened with him, he excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That luck ran out.
Yeah, you have to stop it. We're not talking about that today.
Wait, can we be in agreement that Vince McMahon is a garbage human being?
No argument here, pal. No argument here.
We agree on something, Joe. Me and you.
Yeah, we agree on something. For once. Anyways, but with everything that happened, I mean, that like you said, this would eventually lead to him getting into the wrestling business as a wrestling manager. And this is where we're going to segue into Paul E. Dangerously. Now, do you know the backstory to that name?
Um, it was a Michael Keaton movie.
Yep,
Oh crap! I forget the name of it,
Johnny
but
Dangerously.
apparently Heyman said that he looked like him. I don't see that, but that's where the Dangerously came from. Was a Michael Keaton film.
Right. Hey, Kirkpatrick, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you here. The best mullet in the business. But yeah, it was Johnny Dangerously was the name of the film. And I
Sorry,
don't get
when I read or think of Johnny's, I think of Johnny Lee and have PTSD.
stop it. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't see any resemblance, not even hair wise, to Michael Keaton. I don't see it. But hey, I mean, it's a great name, Paul E. Dangerously. Uh, no, why not? And the gimmick worked. I mean, he had a cell phone. Don't you have a cell phone signed by Paul Heyman?
Yes.
I'm surprised he.
Uno momento.
Go ahead, I got it covered. So, as everybody knows, Paul Heyman is like the not Wolf of Wall Street. This was before just the film Wall Street. He came out. He kind of what we call a gimmick. Had that thing, kids. Was a cellular telephone. Yeah, show it off. Shut up. We get it. You got it signed. This was a cellular telephone for back in the day.
The only signing that Paul ever did as Paul Dangerously.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you were lucky enough to get a cell phone.
It was his first high spot signing. And I
Oh,
knew I had to have that cell phone just because that's when I think of Paul Heyman, that's what I think of.
you
I
think of
loved the Dangerous Alliance.
so the Paulie Dangerously character is what you think of when you think of Paul Heyman.
Yeah, that's my Paul Heyman.
Okay, no argument
I,
there.
I get the love for the booker and the promoter, but as far as characters, that little Wall Street twerp with his cell phone trying to screw people out of money, like I feel like that's probably the most Paul Heyman's ever been.
And you know what? We got to give a big thanks to someone that the wrestling world recently lost, Kevin Sullivan, because he gave Heyman his first shot
Yeah,
and worked down there in Florida till they went out of business. Then he worked smaller promotions. Then I think he worked Memphis first. I could be wrong. I want to say he did work Memphis first before going to the AWA, or maybe he was working at the same time.
yeah, he did. He went to AWA after.
Then he worked with AWA, and that's the the AWA back in the day was kind of how would you say, maybe AEW ish whenever it first started.
It was at that point in time, AWA was starting to lose its grip
Right,
because they had lost most of their big people. They were
right,
already WWF and WCW bound, so
right. So yeah, it was still a big deal though. The Ganyas ran a
well,
fantastic promotion down there.
I feel like at that point, AWA was very much what Impact Wrestling was 2 years ago.
Okay, okay, that's better. But let me stop here for a moment. Looks like Dustin Wolf's in the house. Hello, Dustin. How are you?
Wolfie!
Let's see.
Wifey!
Your crystals here. Joe, get it right. Second. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey Danielle, how are you doing? Big fan. Haha, I have fans. And Dustin's telling you, hey,
I've got fans. Wolfie is a fan.
I feel bad for Wolfie. But back to the AWA years. He managed against the what were they called? Not Midnight Express. What was Shawn Michaels and Marty called?
The
It
Midnight
wasn't.
Rock.
I think so. Yeah, Midnight Rockers. You could be right here. Worth a Google here. Uh, but he managed against them, and that's where he met a lot of the guys who ended up working with in the future. Uh, then after AWA, that's where he went to. Go ahead and say it. You love it.
To WCW.
That's right. He went to the National Wrestling
And
Alliance. slash
it's a lot like I can say this because he's not here this week. It's a lot like Just Incredible getting to work with me, someone that's had some experience and entertained. So he got to work with Jim Ross. I am Just Incredible's Jim Ross to his Paul Heyman. Like, we're going to get him to be the star that he can be.
And speaking of the star that he can be, I want to give a big shout out to Just Incredible because he took charge last week and did a fantastic job.
And you still suspended him.
I didn't suspend him. The person that I have recently fired suspended him. No more Dave. I'm running everything on my own.
You fired Dave?
I fired Dave.
Is Dave real? Was Dave ever real?
Dave was real, yes. Why does everybody ask me that?
Was Dave ever really there?
Yes, he was.
What about now?
Not now, you idiot. We're not doing this tonight. Stop. No Cheech and Chong in it.
So
tonight.
What you're trying to say is
Dave's not here, man.
man.
Exactly. Dave's not here, man.
That was perfect.
You're welcome. Let's see. Before WCW, Kirk brought up a good point here. He managed the original Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose, which would lead to Midnight versus Midnight feud.
Yes, and that's I could remember Dennis Condrey. I openly admit that was before my time of watching a lot of wrestling. I wasn't born until '86, so sue me. And I didn't grow up with a network to watch online like some people. So, yeah, I knew Dennis Condrey was one of them because I actually have a Dennis Condrey and Stan Lane and Jim Cornette signed piece. If it wasn't personalized, I'd sell it, just like I did the DVD.
Shame on you. But they had that feud, and it was just funny to watch Heyman and Cornette go at it during that 6-man tag match. That was freaking great. Now, to see that, oh God, I wish I would have gotten some sound bites from Cornette during that point in time. But two of the best, manager promos during that era, the golden era, I would say, Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette, just going at it. They were sitting on a gold mine, in my opinion, during that feud.
And if you could get two people with that kind of chemistry on wrestling today, it would be another gold mine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like professional wrestling nowadays has forgotten how to use a good manager. So you stick an old wrestler in a suit and have him walk him out to the ring. That is the version of a manager now. Or you take a women's wrestler that's not been trained enough yet, put him in a dress, and send him out there with him. I'm not saying that as a knock on women's wrestling.
You got a point. You got a point. Fair point.
That's what they do. Like, it's not. If you would train them to be managers, they would be fine managers. But they send them out there just to be like Vanna White, flipping numbers or flipping letters. Listen at me.
Then during this time, he also would befriend one of probably the most underrated people in the world in professional wrestling. I'm talking about Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, because Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert was booking an independent show, and Paul was also helping him after.
You ain't gonna skip straight to Eastern Championship Wrestling.
No. This was before ECW. They were friends before all that happened. That's actually how Paul got into ECW. Don't jump ahead of me here. But before he went,
you didn't send me a format. An exact format. You sent me 4 pictures.
Exactly. So I gave you a timetable. So hush. With everything before he went to NWA and WCW during the late 80s, early 90s, he helped Eddie Gilbert, and that's when they became friends. To go back further in time, he managed Austin Idol and Tommy Rich in Memphis wrestling. That is true. And Humongous. Let's not forget Humongous.
That was the Jerry Lawler feud
with the head
included the Austin Idol, and
that is true. That is true. Oh, Tanner's here. Hey, Tanner.
There's my boy.
Oh, don't there's my boy. You had something to do with his suspension. Shut up. I know you did.
Why would I suspend Just Incredible?
because I picked him over you last week.
Do you think that I would be jealous? Come on, I'm humble.
Yeah, whatever. If it wasn't for Eddie Gilbert, Heyman would have not been brought to. That is right. He wouldn't have brought in the NCW. Kirk's like, yes, I'm showing my age here.
It's okay. Joe's got all kinds of friends at the old folks' home. Some of them used to be part of a diamond mine.
Anywho, let's move on to his WCW years, shall we? We first seen him in '88, which we talked about, the Midnight versus Midnight feud. Then he wouldn't come back until 1991. And that's when we started getting the Paulie Dangerously that people were, more familiar with. We started getting the Dangerous Alliance, which consisted of Ravishing Rick Rude, which is, again, one of the most underrated people who never held a world fucking title. What in the hell, people?
Hey,
Sorry.
whoa, watch your language. There are children here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Yoda. I'm sorry. Daddy didn't mean it. You cover your ears. Okay, go on. Okay. It's okay. All right. But
So
Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko. Larry Zbyszko is the one that always threw me off. I don't know why.
Larry carried a lot of weight from his AWA fan base. Let's remember that Larry didn't start in WCW. That's just where he got the most exposure.
Okay, fair. But he also had Beautiful Bobby Eaton,
Yeah.
and Stunning Steve
By Heyman's request.
Yep, by Heyman's request, Bobby Eaton and Stunning Steve, and Medusa playing the baby doll role. Then you had Paul being the J.J. Dillon role. He basically came up with his own Horseman.
Well, they wanted it to be a new Horseman because Flair was playing in WCW or in WWF with Bobby the Brain, which I get it. You needed to get a group over, and you needed somebody to work that microphone. Paulie Dangerously and the Dangerous Alliance trying to milk WCW for money. Tell me the difference in Paulie Dangerously, Rick Rude, and the Dangerous Alliance and what the NWO started as.
None. There's no difference.
It was a group of people there to take over a company for money, which is literally what the NWO started as.
Yeah, but I think the Dangerous Alliance didn't work out because they put it more of a cartoonish spin on it. Even though Paul tried his best to make it as real as possible.
Well, I mean,
they couldn't have done that.
That point in time. You go back and watch that Wrestle War 92, I think it is, with the Dangerous Alliance and Stinger Squadron.
Yes.
And the pops for that will match anything you're going to see nowadays.
No, that is true. That
was WCW in 92.
Well, people are. James Manley's even saying the Dangerous Alliance was better than the. At that time, yes, the Dangerous Alliance.
I'll back that 100%.
And with any version of the Horseman, even the original.
Sure.
Wow. Okay, that's saying a lot.
Okay. Are you going to tell me that Tully Blanchard is better than Bobby Eaton?
Probably. Now, hang on. I don't get me wrong. Bobby's in-ring skills was way ahead of his fucking time. Don't get me wrong, but Bobby couldn't cut a promo to save his life.
Well, he didn't need to. He didn't need to in the Dangerous Alliance.
No, fair. Okay, I get what you're saying though.
Are you going to tell me that Arn Anderson was better in the Horseman than Zbyszko or Arn Anderson?
No, I like. Okay, I see what you're saying. I get it because
And
he was more.
okay, I'll give you that Ric Flair is a bigger deal than Rick Rude, but he's not a bigger deal than Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin.
Right. That was your established champion with your up and comer.
Yeah, if the Dangerous
Tom
Alliance had the support and the length and the opportunity that the Horsemen had, it would have been more beneficial in professional wrestling than the Horsemen was. In my opinion.
No, I can actually see that, yes. But
I know that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is
because all you fans want to ride on Ric Flair's nether regions. So I get it.
Let's move on. We may you know what, we may do a debate on stables on a later episode, maybe for the round table. That's actually not a bad idea. We may do that. But let's see. Crander Q's in the house says exactly what the heck? Whatever, Crander.
Hi, Crander.
Yes. James is even saying yes, even better than the original. So,
I mean, the only thing they had going for him was that Baby Doll looked better than Medusa.
Hey, whoa! I mean, well, about the same to me. That's just me. No offense to Baby Doll, but let's see. Team Canada. Okay, no, we're not doing Team Canada right now. Tanner, stop.
Oh, Canada!
Good thing about running your own show, you can control the microphone. You just muted
That was rude and uncalled for. You should apologize.
James says he wants to be on that debate. Okay, bet. We'll bring you back on, James. We loved having you that one time at band camp. Anyways, so we move on from the Dangerous Alliance. Then he moved on to doing color commentary and interviewing.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play a creative control card here. James, we will see to it that we'll do a stable-based show before your match with Dijak, so you can get on there with us and talk about all that, and you can practice more of the Arkansas nose pull. Because that'll be about the time that we get ready for War Games anyways. And we're going to have to do a War Games episode. Because Joe's not the only one in charge around here now.
Well, okay. Take it easy. Lord, I say he's probably already responded here in the chat. He said LOL, so that means a yes for him. But with that, moving forward from the Dangerous Alliance, sadly.
And let's give a shout out to that Beach Blast, Jesse Ventura awful bikini showdown.
God. Stop. No.
If you've never seen it, you need to go back and watch that.
No. Stop reminding me of that. Oh, gosh. Okay.
See, I watched that in 1992 and thought it was stupid.
And that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I was 6.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Big Travis Lee Bird for introducing me to that one.
Oh, Travis Bird, everybody's favorite wrestling analyst. Anyways, with everything happening, he said he was right there. He was on top of the world. Then he slowly went back down because there was a change. Bill Watts walked in, changed everything.
Yeah, there was racism and anti-Semitism showing up in town.
We're not going into that, but people are speculating the reason Paul was pegged down so much, eventually even getting released, and him suing them and winning the lawsuit, that was probably one of the reasons why, but nobody knows for sure because they can't legally talk about it.
Well, now Heyman has admitted that money helped fund ECW.
And I'm happy you said that because it's finally time to get into ECW. Now, during this, stop it. Now, this was in 93. He started working for Eastern Championship Wrestling. We haven't gotten Extreme yet, folks. It was actually before he even decided to do that, he was supposed to go head to head with Howard Stern, out of all people. Could you imagine that? Him and Howard Stern just going head to head, talking to each other? Like early 90s Paul Heyman and Howard Stern.
Yeah, I mean, but it would be like watching a man talk in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know?
But
It would be like watching a giant turd debate a giant douche.
right. Well, he wanted to, because he wanted to be away from wrestling, which I don't blame him from what happened. And then Jim Crockett kind of pulled his BS card because he was complaining about how stuff is. And he's like, well, how are you going to change professional wrestling or grow professional wrestling just sitting there and talking about it? So what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and bitch the whole time? Or are you going to get up and do something about it?
Are you going to sit on the couch, or are you going to make a statement, make some changes?
And he ended up, well, not many people know this. They wanted to do a promotion in Texas with Jim Crockett Jr., but there were some disagreements. Jim Crockett Jr. was old school. Paul Heyman wanted a new vision for wrestling, and they clashed heads, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, and I'm sure the money was.
Yeah, probably. And then at the time, we go back to Eddie Gilbert being the booker at Eastern Championship Wrestling. And that's how Paul Heyman got into ECW, was by Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. And we probably need to do an episode on Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. That would be great. And not only was it with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, but he was with a promoter that everybody says Paul Heyman stole ECW from, Todd Gordon. Yeah, you can't rip this one up, can you, pal? I didn't think so. But with that...
Wait, you want to talk about autographs?
Don't do it.
I mean, I could.
Stop.
Wait, you have a daughter, right?
Yes, I have a daughter.
Does she like women's wrestling?
She loves women's wrestling. She wants to be a wrestler herself.
What about this one?
Yeah, that's Toni Storm. That's when she was in WWE. What the heck, you douche?
I received a gift.
Uh-huh.
After all of my statements on women's wrestling, I would just like to make sure that everyone gets a good look at that. Facts. Yeah. But I tell you what, Joe, since I like you so much, maybe I'll let your daughter have this one.
That will look good next to Wendy Richter and Baby Doll.
Well, play nice. When we get done talking about Heyman, I've got some final statements to make.
Well, so do I. Anyways, he ended up going through 93. He just worked his way up, helping book and everything. Then he would eventually take control of the full book. And that's when we started getting leaning towards more of the extreme.
Let's not. Even I'm going to defend Paul here. It's not like he threw Eddie under the bus. Eddie threw himself under the bus.
Yeah, and then not too long after that is when Eddie passed away. But
yeah, Eddie screwed Eddie. Paul didn't do that. I feel like a lot of people want to blame Heyman for stuff that's not really Heyman's fault.
No.
Even I'm saying that.
Right. And that, and honestly, when we get to Todd Gordon here in a little bit, I'm going to defend Paul on that too. But with that, this is when we're going to get into the extreme. Starting with, and I swear this is when everything happened, when Shane Douglas, which was someone else, on the voting pool, threw down the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, saying everybody before him can kiss his ass, and he declared himself the new ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the Extreme Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, which, honestly, I need a replica of that original ECW belt. I'm sorry. From a historic standpoint, I need that belt.
I kind of like the old TV belt more.
where it was just a center plate and no side plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave it a classic look.
Yeah.
But that's when we ended up getting ECW that we know and love today. Well, most of us love, I should say. It was much like grunge music. Everybody was tired of the same old glamour rock, blah, 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 blah. Then, bam, here came ECW.
And you know what happened to the guy who brought in grunge music?
Stop.
Buckshot mouthwash.
Really? Insensitive prick, I swear he is. But then ECW started picking up pretty well. Then we ran into an issue with Todd Gordon. What was the issue with Todd Gordon? Well, back in the day, people were able to check their voicemails from their answering machines via cell phone. And you had a code to your answering machine. Paul Heyman just happened to know Todd Gordon's code. And what happened is he figured out that Todd Gordon, along with some others, were talking with WCW, who was public enemy number one. No pun there, to the public enemy. And was going to move over to WCW out from underneath Paul. So do I blame Paul Heyman for taking ECW away from Todd Gordon? Absolutely not, because if I find out you're working against me behind my back, why would I want to work with you going forward?
So I get the yes, Heyman was justified in doing it, but tell me the difference in Gordon negotiating with WCW and Heyman negotiating with the WWF behind his people's back.
Now, the WWF at that time, they were negotiating over Too Cold Scorpio. The reason they were discussing Too Cold Scorpio is because Bad Boy Record, no, it wasn't Bad Boy, Tommy Boy. Thank you. Too Cold Scorpio used their music, and then that was sponsorship for ECW. So Paul Heyman was like, well, we're going to lose this sponsorship if I send him to WWF. Well, how about we cover that sponsorship cost? That's what that money was used for. And it was in the name of ECW's parent company.
Yeah.
Nothing.
IG, whatever.
Something like that. It was something weird that Paul came up with.
But yeah, it was $1,000 a week.
Right.
And yes, that I'm talking about later on when Heyman showed up at WWF Raw while ECW was on tour.
Now, hold on.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, but I have a counter argument for that. So ECW keeps going and going, eventually getting to their first pay-per-view in 97, which was originally supposed to be in 95. Then everything was cruising and cruising. Then we started having mass exodus going to WCW and people going to the WWF. Well, like any wrestling company, AWA, great example. You said it earlier. You start losing your top people, the fans are going to die. Yeah, you're going to die. They're going to end up following where those people are going to go.
That's why you have to develop new talent, or else you end up with no talent to have.
You flounder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flounder. Flounder, whatever. But, during that time, there were some financial issues in the back. Then I think the writing was on the wall, especially for those who worked backstage, like Tommy Dreamer and all of them. They knew that their ECW's time was up. It was no longer the mom and pop store that it used to be. It was too small to be big, too big to be small. That was the best example for ECW. And eventually Paul had to file bankruptcy before he went to WWE. Not many people know this. Anything, how is this? Anything, it's either before or after you file for bankruptcy, the government can recall it. I can't remember which one it is. So Paul Heyman not paying them during that time was actually Paul looking out for the guys. And the reason he took that WWE job is because, hey, if your company's going out of business and you have an offer to you that you can't refuse, which one are you going to do?
He should have gave the boys a heads up.
I think he gave Tommy Dreamer a heads up. That was the only one.
Tommy said he didn't know till he saw him on TV.
I mean, what would you do in Paul's situation? If you were under that stress,
I'd tell.
you would tell?
Okay. Honesty is the most valuable thing for me.
Okay.
So yes, I would have told. Now,
Okay.
if it was a game show and everybody was competing against me, that's different. But in real life, yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I think you suck, I'm going to tell you suck. If I think you're good, I'll tell you you're good. If I don't have the money to do something, I'm going to tell you I don't have the money to do it.
Right. But then
that's a fact of life.
Yep. Then in 2001's when we get Paul Heyman in WWE. Now, Paul Heyman was in WWE for a few tapings prior beforehand when ECW took over the Hammerstein Ballroom during a Monday Night Raw, which was pretty cool. And they had a debate during his Lawler feud as well, a live debate. But WWE, he started off as an color commentator. Then when the invasion came, oh God, I wish the Men in Black, the neuralizer, what's it called? The little flash.
Neuralizer.
Is that what it's called? Okay, I didn't know if I had it right or not. But I wish we could all just have that done and forget about the invasion angle.
Forget about ECW. I agree.
The invasion angle. I wish ECW never took part in that bull crap. I really wish. It was going freaking nowhere. You had
but okay. I understand in hindsight why you wish that didn't happen. But at the time, they're trying to get another TV show for these guys. They're going to have to expose this new bundle of talent to the WWE fan base. So that is the best way to do it. Instead of having debuts over weeks, bring them all in as an invasion.
Yeah,
you have immediate heat, immediate reason. Then you develop the characters over time. And if you get another TV deal that you can put those brands on, great. If you don't, then at least you've exposed these people to your audience.
Right, but they didn't. Hang on. Well, Alan says he missed the invasion. Hello, James. How you doing? Craner Q says right here, perfect. They didn't have all the parts. They should have waited. And I agree. They should have waited a little bit at a time. Okay, the Buff Bagwell Booker T match, that was a stink fest. I get it. And that's what caused Vince not to start WCW having its own TV show and all that crap, even though I still think he dropped the ball on that. But why would you get ECW involved? That the WCW part I can understand.
You bring in the ECW people because you don't have the main WCW stars under contract. Booker and Bagwell wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. They could have worked house shows to polish them up. I can't believe I'm saying this. Crander's kind of on my side with this, but ECW. Here's my thing: ECW shouldn't have gotten involved. I think ECW. If the reality of the kayfabe storyline of Shane buying WCW, Shane should have brought ECW. They should have kept it on, what he wanted to do on the web, and it would have revolutionized earlier than what we would eventually end up getting.
Okay, but if you have a WCW only invasion, what talent are they bringing in that you wouldn't need for that ECW show?
What I would do if dang it, we're getting way off topic here.
But I'm just saying, in hindsight, you can look at it and say, well, it wasn't my ECW. I get that. It wasn't my WCW either.
Right.
But for the story that they wanted to tell, having the additional characters was vital.
But we know what Crander again just said. We know more now though than we could now though. Then I can't talk. We could retain it.
Hindsight is always 20/20. We can
Right.
see it all perfect, but
The invasion gave us. I mean,
look,
okay,
it gave us Positively Page,
that is true. Oh God.
and that was a blast.
It also gave him as a creeper stalking the. You know what? Again, another episode for the future, just on the invasion. We're getting off
Look,
topic.
I could rebook the invasion all day long and make it better than it was.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying it's not as bad as people want to claim it was.
All right. But during this part, during this time, towards the end, Paul Heyman cut probably one of the best shoot promos of all time on Vince McMahon, saying pro wrestling is a dirty word to him. He'd rather keep it sports entertainment. And he was telling the truth. He told the truth about Vince undercutting a lot of these promotions, making it a global empire because staying in New York wasn't good enough for him. He wanted to build a future, and he even took the Attitude Era, took Paul's legacy out from underneath him by stealing ideas from ECW and putting it on WWF television. So, but I mean, I know what you're going to say. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's business.
Unfortunately, it is very hard to be friendly in business.
Oh, God, yeah. I know that for sure. Trust me. I know that.
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
But thankfully the invasion ended because Paul started having that resurgence with one Brock Lesnar, the next big thing. And this is, Brock's first run. He managed Brock all the way up to the WWE Undisputed Championship. Then eventually became Big Show's manager. Then after being Big Show's manager, during this time, he was also a writer for SmackDown.
Can we go ahead and acknowledge that the worst time frame of Paul Heyman's career was either managing the Big Show or managing Ryback?
I would say Ryback was worse.
I don't know which is worse. I really don't, because they're both pretty bad.
Ryback was worse.
I mean, if you just Paul White's career is a Botchamania episode in and of itself.
Oh, Lord of mercy. But
maybe Vince should buy TNA.
Oh God, don't shut up. Stop it.
Look, I believe in Joe Henry. That's good shit.
Managing no comment. He's gonna call him. Oh God. Okay. Well, why do I need to pause the show? Well, I guess we're gonna pause the live show here, folks. So let me
Look, you take it back and you take it back now.
I'll never take it back.
You take it back now. That's blasphemy.
Take it back. CM Punk and sucker. You're blasphemy, dude. You've been bashing ECW all month, Dave.
I'm not Dave.
Yeah, okay, Dave.
Why the hell would I be Dave? Come on.
Dave, there's a freaking conspiracy against Just Incredible, Dave.
Look, if I was Dave, would I tell you need to create your own Facebook page for people to find you.
Thank you. Bye.
God, he's
Anywho,
wrong. CM Punk's the best.
Anywho, then he during this time he was also a writer for SmackDown and even kicked Raw's ass for a long time during his writing days.
It was good.
And he was the on-screen general manager for Raw after Stephanie, of course. Then he went away for a while. Then when Paul came back is when we got ECW One Night Stand 2005. Which, to me, that was the end of ECW, the true spirit of ECW. That was it. That night, even Paul Heyman said it. If everything could have ended that night, it would have been a perfect story.
I will acknowledge.
Then it got so big.
2005 was the rest in peace to ECW. 2006 was the birth of WWECW. Ezekiel Jackson for life.
Anywho, he's jumping ahead of me, and we're going to ECW 2006, which started off in ECW One Night Stand 06 with RVD winning the ECW World Title. And then we started getting the ECW television show on Sci-Fi.
Don't forget, he kept the WWE one because it spun.
I hate the writers of WWE at that time.
I love that promo. Like, that is the best RVD's promos have ever been to me.
But, they ended up having, Paul. Here's the thing. I think Paul should have known better than Vince thinking Vince would give ECW back to him and let him run it the way he wants to. But Vince ended up turning it into WWECW.
I wonder if that wasn't Vince's way of saying, you're going to keep running your mouth about me, and you embarrassed me and my show by having SmackDown better. I'm just going to make you humiliated with a zombie.
Basically, I think that's what it was. Same with the invasion. He just wanted to plant that flag even more.
Yeah.
And it was just, I honestly think Vince just wanted to kill ECW. I mean, people were still chanting ECW, so it wasn't that successful. And after that, December to dismember. Oh my God. Worst.
Look,
worst pay-per-view ever.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
Look, I ordered the old WWA pay-per-views from Australia.
Never mind.
Yeah, I saw bananas in pajamas in a battle royal, okay? Yeah. Your hair's growing back nicely.
Shut up.
Yeah, you can almost see that scar from the kendo stick.
Okay, then this led to an argument with Vince and Paul eventually leaving and starting, Heyman Hustle, then starting his promotional media company. And it's still successful to this day. Then around early 2010s is when Brock Lesnar came back to the WWE, and they realized a piece was missing, and Vince offered Paul Heyman again an offer he couldn't refuse, and that's when we got the Advocate, Paul Heyman. And we've had the Advocate, who ended up turning into a wise man, and who ended up getting powerbombed through an announce table not too long ago.
Hey, let's not forget that he managed the best in the world in there.
Yeah, he did manage CM Punk with his historic title reign.
I was actually thinking about entertaining Paul Heyman moments before this week.
Okay.
Do you remember, to have been there in the arena would have been awful, but the Bash of the Great American Bash, the Dudleys against Undertaker, and Heyman was trying to end the Undertaker, so he kept bringing in Heidenreich, and he had tried to have the Dudleys do it. Weren't they going to bring Jacob Duncan at one point from OVW even?
Yes.
Yeah. That guy actually ended up in TNA for a little bit?
Yes, not many people know. That's another one that's underrated.
Triton, the master of space and time. Do you know
Guys,
where he's from?
he's from Kentucky, ain't he?
He's from Williamsburg, Kentucky.
Really?
Yep.
He's from our hometown.
Yes, sir. Ryan Wilson.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Never mind. All right, let me get him on the show. That'd be pretty fun. But yeah, we've that's where we know Paul Heyman today. The wise, and to be honest with you, Paul Heyman, especially now that we got to the Paul Levesque era, him doing his characteristic changes after Roman left, him growing his beard out, letting his hair go without dyeing it, him looking the bloodshot eyes, act like he hasn't slept in days. Perfect. But whenever Roman's around, he's clean cut, he's clean shaven, he's got his hair dyed, he looks like $1,000,000. It's that tidbit
But
that I love about
Heyman is a master of details, like the old. I know it's in the documentary. I think it's Rhino is the TV champion,
Mm-hmm.
and he like shoves the belt into the camera as if to say like he is the belt now. The belt is he. Like that.
Right.
Heyman was very good with his details.
Right. He was a very great pay attention to detail. Well, that was the history of Paul Heyman. But before we go, let's end off with some sponsorships. ATB, would you like to announce these next sponsors?
Sure.
All right. Well, go ahead and tell them what's on this QR code.
It's the QR code for the Joe Monroe Show shop. You can go on there and you can buy Joe Monroe merch. You can buy some Till 5 merch that I'm guessing also goes to Joe Monroe at this point. But you can go there and get merch. We've got Scarefest coming up in, what is that, 2 months?
Oh, yeah.
2 months away. Finally, I think that the Joe Monroe and Eldridge Horror Show has finally quit covering the Scream movies, so they'll get the stuff that's better. And you'll be able to catch some clips from that show after Scarefest. They're going to have some more of that on their shows talking about horror movies. And nowadays, who doesn't love horror movies? We've got SeatGeek, thanks to our friends at WrestleRama. You can use the code Jeff the Ruck to get $20 off your first purchase. And you can get the best seats in the house with SeatGeek. I've used SeatGeek a lot. Like, SeatGeek is better than Ticketmaster at this point to me.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Well, folks, do we have any questions? Let's look at the here. Top managers: 1, Paul Heyman; 2, Bobby the Brain; 3, Paul Ellering; 4, Paul Bear. I've noticed a trend. Every great manager aside from Bobby the Brain is named Paul.
Maybe it's like carried over from history. Like the Apostle Paul was the one to tell the story. They're all great managers. They're telling stories. I'll just go. Hey.
When do we see Paul return? If mentioned, yes, yeah. Alpha did pass away today too. Rest in peace to Alpha and Sika. We've lost the Wild Mullins. Just moment of silence. But that was that was big news, hard hitting news today. And honestly, for it to be so soon after his brother's passing, oh man, we'll have to do this.
But no, wait. I'm gonna sound bad here, but let me finish first. Is it really that bad? They got to have long, filling lives. Their family has been at the top of the business for years. You're not paying attention to me. Time out. We good? Okay. Their family's been at the top of the business for years. They got to have long, fulfilling lives, many children, grandchildren. I don't feel like it's something to be sad about. Like, I get that it is hard to lose people and missing people happens. But if they got to have a long, fulfilling life and give memories, like, why are you sad, man?
Yeah,
Like, I know there are people around that have lost someone lately, and it's hard. And a local business around here decided to make that an issue. And let me just say that, as far as I'm concerned, OTG is not the place for me.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you there. So yeah, that was some bull crap what you told me, but you got a point. I mean, they did live long lives. Both men did, and they leave long a family legacy that is still living today. We may break down that family tree 1 month here on
It
the
would
show.
take a month.
It'd probably take 3 months if we stay consistent.
We'll need to do a live stream for 30 days, and we'll take coffee breaks.
Interchange for 4 hours sleep breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, folks, that's 100% the Paul Heyman story. ATB, I hate to ask, what do you got going on?
So again, I want to give a shout out to my good friends at Green Hemp Company. I know there's a lot of no, there's a lot of benefits to that kind of stuff as far as pain and mental health. I'm a big supporter of mental health, and I've found better help with something like that than I have ever found with some prescription drugs, especially stuff that you don't realize can cause you mental health issues. So if you've ever had pain or mental health stuff, look in to. I prefer a Delta 8 product over a Delta 9, but contact people at Green Hemp. They can send you to the right direction. So, also, now that we've covered Paul Heyman, we've covered sponsors, let's talk about the ego in the room that is Joe Monroe.
Ego? Why do I got an ego?
First off, you want to decide that Tanner's the host for last week. Then you want to allow your worker, Dave, to suspend Just Incredible when he carried the ball for you last week.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
My turn to talk. Okay? You want to do that. You want to not tell us who our co-hosts are going to be until 20 minutes before the show starts. I had never met Joe Panther or Johnny Lee before in my life. And let me just say, Joe Panther was awesome. Johnny Lee was not as bad as I thought he was going to be. And you give us no Benny, no Ruck. I guess I scared them off after one episode because they never show up anymore. Or maybe it's the fact that I pointed out that you can't say their name right. You want to get rid of Crander. He's not been on here since. You claim Professor Bear's hurt. I'm pretty sure that he was healthy this week, so he could have been here to join us and give us some history of pro wrestling. And then you want to tell me at the last minute that Connor's not going to be here because you no longer work with Mayhem Media. So
Whoa. That's
you gonna mute me over that?
whoa.
Let's remember that I've got this for your precious little girl. And it'd be a shame if something happened to it, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be a shame if something happened to that? Aww.
Dude.
Aww. Poor little baby. Aww. Cry me a river, Joe.
Are you done?
Yep.
You done? You done?
Yep.
I'm surprised you didn't want to really kick me in the balls and talk about Austin Diamond.
Well, I mean, we can talk about Austin Diamond. You want to talk about Austin Diamond?
You go ahead. I mean, kick him while he's down. Why don't you?
Your scars? Are you still crying about Austin? Aww. Don't be mad that you got hit in the head with a kendo stick and lost to a kid. Don't be mad that your podcast is better with me and my friends on it. Don't be mad that Austin Diamond and the Diamond Mind laid you a beating and you ain't stepped foot back in a wrestling ring since. Because Joe Monroe is more like a Joe bitch.
Hey, whoa, hold on one damn minute. No. That's. I fucking had it. Listen, that little shit has no respect for this business. Just dare I ask, I don't want you to put, never would have put you in the same boat as him. I never would have thought you would stoop to his level. Now you're stooping to that sumbitch's level. What happened between me and Diamond is over. Does it hurt? How am I pissed on how it ended? Yeah, I'm fucking pissed. But he proved a point. He's nothing but a scum-sucking, yellow-bellied coward that wants to ride his daddy's coattails, whatever coattails his fucking dad has. And he can't wrestle to save his fucking life. If it was up to me, that would have been a street fight and it would have been over with. Yeah, that's right. Fucking run. Fucking run. You know what? I'm sorry, folks. Let's just go ahead and end this on a high note. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm just rolling this.